Hey guys, welcome back to Jewett's Kitchen. And we've done quite a few recipes now, so thanks for tuning back in. Today, since it's been in-home sheltering with all the coronavirus going on, I was looking around the kitchen and thinking of like what would be a good recipe right now, especially with protein availability kind of low. So I've talked some on using like whey protein because it is more available, but also some other ingredients that are really easy to come by could be flour, peanut butter, and I know peanut butter has been rare, but you can make your own peanut butter, so that won't be an excuse. But today we're gonna make protein pancakes, which there is just a plethora online of different recipes that you can do, but this is gonna be my version and give you some ideas of how you can modify the recipe and make it to what you like. So ingredient wise, what we have laid out here is some self-rising all-purpose flour. It already has some sodium bicarbonate in it, some baking powder, so it already has the leavening agent in it, which makes it really easy. We're going to be using 50 grams of flour. We have animal whey, so I'm going to use 20 grams of actual weighed out whey. And then we'll also have one whole egg. I have 10 grams of peanut butter, and then 40 mils of unsweetened cashew milk that is vanilla flavored. And so with the ingredients, I know some people don't want to be using flour, or maybe you have a gluten intolerance. That's perfectly fine. There's lots of other flours that you could use. You can even add in, or if you don't have like a self-rising flour, you could use baking powder and make your own self-rising flour at home, or add the baking powder in to a different type of flour type. The reason you want that in there is the baking powder is the leavening agent in the flour. So that's what's going to create all those air bubbles and that fluffiness to your waffle or your pancake. So it is important to have that piece in there. For the whey, I like animal whey because if you have some proteins that mix extremely thin and actually when you mix them into the liquids, they thin out a lot. Animal whey still has a nice, really creamy consistency, so it goes well in baked goods. And also I've noticed some other proteins will burn really easy, so this one's a little bit more resistant. I'm leaving in a whole egg. You could sub in egg white, but if you go completely fat-free in this, it's gonna make it really dry. So I wanted something that was gonna be really macro balanced, so I'm just keeping in just one whole egg. And then also using these recipes, you'll see butter used. So I'm gonna be using peanut butter as a fat source. There's lots of different fat sources you could use. Don't judge me on my Jif peanut butter. You could go with a more natural one. This one does have some sugar and palm oil in it. It's what we had here at the house, and also just what was available. So if you want to go with even cashew butter or almond butter, all natural, please do so. And on the cashew milk, for one, it's a really low calorie contributor. We're only using 1/6 of a serving size, which is like 5 calories addition. So if you need to be calorie conservative and you need to put some type of milk substitute into the recipe, cashew milk works really good. We've used almond milk before, but the almond milks that we've had, they can come out really thin. So that creaminess can help keep your waffle mix and pancake mix the right consistency, because you don't want it to thin out too much. Everything's all weighed out, so I'm gonna get to mixing. Macro-wise, for the amounts that I have laid out, it's gonna be 40 grams of carbs, 35 grams of protein, and 10 grams of fat. You can modify this, guys, however you want to, but I wanted something balanced, so if you're off season and need more calories, double the recipe. Easy as that. And important part, guys, is mix your liquid ingredients in a separate bowl. Don't try to do them all together. The key here is when you mix in the liquid ingredients to the powder ingredients, you don't want to have to be overly mixing it. The whole process and baking science behind all this is that the flour does have gluten in it, and that's the protein that's found in wheat. And by mixing it, you're slowly making more gluten bonds forming. And if you keep mixing and mixing and mixing, you make more and more gluten bonds, which makes a very tight formed pancake. And the leavening agent is what creates the bubbles and air, and those gluten pockets hold those air bubbles in. So if you have it really tightly bound, you're not gonna have a lot of air bubbles in there, and you're gonna get a flat pancake. So what you want to do is just mix this consistency to where it's still a little bit clumpy. And so you won't have as much gluten bonds, and so those air bubbles can rise up and get really big. So that's why we're separating our liquid mix and our powder mix first. What I'm going to go ahead and do in this point, because in your normal mixes, your recipes, you'll have like your powder ingredients, which won't include whey protein, and you just pour them in. The whey protein could take a little extra mixing, and it's not going to be affected that much by the stirring. So I'm going to add the whey into my liquids and mix that together. And so you know, I like salted caramel. That is my go-to for Animal Whey for most recipes. It has a pretty sweet taste to it, so it goes great in baked goods. You could use any type of different flavors for this though. Vanilla is always a nice standard safe one, or make chocolate pancake waffles if you want. Chocolate and peanut butter would go great together. All right. So my liquids look pretty good, mixed. So I'm going to transfer over to a larger bowl, and plus it has a pouring spout on it, so it'll be easy once I go over to my pan. So put my flour in, and like I will say again, do not mix till it's smooth. You want to mix till it's still a little bit chunky, and I'll show you guys so you can see how it actually looks. Just nice big churning motions. But you also don't want any like dry spots of powder that you can see. All right, I have my batter done, and this recipe, it comes out really well for the consistency. You shouldn't have it to where it like runs right off your whisk or your spoon. It should kind of like slowly like drip off, and if you have it like that, that's when it's just about right. I would say it's not quite like, it's about a syrup consistency, but not quite like molasses. But that's it. I'm gonna let it set just for a couple minutes to let the baking powder work and leaven, produce a little bit of air bubbles before I put it into the pan. So I have my flat skillet set up here. I had it about a medium heat, turned it down to low before I dropped the pancake on. Use some cooking spray so it doesn't stick. I also have my griddle set up, so I'll cook a pancake and a waffle at the same time. And you'll notice, like, when you're coming over here, like if there's a few air bubbles formed in your mix, and that's just like what you want to see. So just spray it. I'm just using olive oil, and we'll just drop out some of our batter. So I flipped over the pancake. It's nice golden brown. That's what we're looking for, and you can see it's already puffed up quite a bit. So our liquids and powder mixed just right. So I'm actually really proud that it turns out, because I've made quite a few of these, and I've had it where the batter just spreads out and it doesn't puff up at all, and it's disappointing. So this one will be good. So we'll just wait till it browns up on the bottom, and your pancake will be ready. So we end up with our finished pancakes. And like I said, that recipe makes about 2 6-inch diameter pancakes. Sorry my waffle maker broke, guys. I wanted to show it to you, but I just couldn't today. So pancakes is what we're going with. I also, just to keep in mind, you could use syrup on the recipe if you wanted to, but look for what syrup you're using. If, like for instance, we had Mrs. Butterworth sugar-free here, which uses sorbitol, which is a sugar alcohol. Some of the sugar alcohols are still fermentable, and some of them still contribute calories. So like sorbitol, you have like a 2.6 calorie per kilogram contribution versus your normal like sugar, it's 4 calories per gram. So it still contributes calories. You can find some ones that do have like true calorie free, like erythritol is not metabolized in humans. So just keep that in mind for what you're picking, or if you want to add some fruit on, just sweeten it that way. The pancake recipe on its own is pretty sweet using the Animal Whey salted caramel. So guys, I hope you enjoy the recipe. if you come up with your own recipes. I'd love to see what y'all can figure out for your whey protein, for your pancakes, your waffles. There's lots of variations of this, so post them below, guys. Put up your macros so other people can share it and get some other ideas. Until next time, we will see you then. It's good. Fluffy pancakes. Hope you guys enjoy. You gotta lick the whisk and the bowl. It's necessary. Take you back to your childhood, some nostalgia, right? Don't judge me.